بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه المنتجبين. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the gracious. Respectable audience, dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, God willing, we are going to present a new speech or a new lecture for our dear viewers and listeners on the topic of fundamental beliefs. Prior coming and touching this topic, I prefer and I would like to have a brief look at our previous session so that the new listeners should join us with complete awareness. In the previous session, it was said that religion includes and comprises three important components: fundamental principles of beliefs, second, ethics, and the third, practical Islamic law or practical Islamic rulings. So religion includes all these three components to cover every part and parcels of our life. No dimension of our life should be left aside by our religion. So religion includes and covers all aspects of our life. Those fundamental beliefs purify our thoughts. And the Islamic practical and theoretical ethical values address our behavior and the spiritual purification and spiritual growth. Islamic law, Islamic rulings, they address our practical behavior, that how we have to deal with our colleagues, friends, neighbors, our parents, this and that. So this was the first important point that was mentioned in the previous session. The second important point that we have touched in the previous session, that was there are two types of fundamentals of religion and secondary issues of the religion. So we defined the principles, the usul ad-din. And secondly, we also pointed out that there are some differences of opinion about the number of fundamentals of principles. There is not a unanimous agreement on the number of fundamentals of principles. According to the Shiites reading of the Islamic teachings, there are some 5 major fundamentals of religion: monotheism, justice, prophecy, Imam or leadership, and life hereafter or the resurrection day. While according to our Sunnite brothers, there are some 3 fundamentals of religion, inclusive of monotheism, prophecy, and life hereafter. So the basic difference between the fundamentals of the religion and secondary or peripheral issues of the religion are 2. The first, that fundamentals of religion can never ever be emulated, while you can be a good follower in the secondary issues. You have to be aware that the religious authorities that can be called in Persian marja' taqlid, they should be followed in the secondary issues of the Islamic teachings. They can never ever be emulated and followed on those fundamentals of religion. Fundamentals of religion should be proved and should be argued for by our own selves. We ourselves should be convinced of those fundamentals of religion. This is the first difference between the fundamentals of the religion and the secondary issues. The second important and major difference between these two is this, that he who does not believe in fundamentals of religion, he will be excluded from the realm of Islam. He who negates prophecy of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his household, then he can never ever be labeled or called as Muslim. The same, he who disbelieves the life hereafter, or he who does not believe monotheism, of course, or Allah, he does not deserve to be called a Muslim. But about the justice in imamah, he who does not believe justice of Almighty Allah or imamah, of course he cannot be excluded from the Islamic realm. Rather, he cannot be called as a Shia, while there are some difference of opinion as we touched in the previous session. This is what we reviewed from the previous session, that our dear listeners should be fully acquainted with what we are going to address today. Today, God willing, we are going to address this important issue, that is inquiring into religion.
إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.
So one of the most challenging and the most controversial question that might arise in front of every rational agent is this, that should we inquire into religion? Should we search for religion? There might be hundreds and thousands of religions along with their ramifications, along with their denominations. Should we inquire about? Should we pay for it? Should we invest or not? It is something futile. It is something trivial. We should never ever invest neither our money nor our time, nor not our energy for the sake of religion. So does it worth that we have to inquire into religion, we have to investigate about the true religion or not? This is one of the most fundamental, important, and of course uncompromising question that has clicked everyone's mind. So this is the question, and today, God willing, we will prove it by our rational and logical arguments that we have to go and search for the true religion. And there is no room left that we should be negligent or we should be nonchalant or indifferent towards the true religion. This is very much important that we have to go and search for this. What are those arguments that we can put forth for inquiring and investigating the true religion? So let me give you an example that everyone can feel it and touch it with all his existence. Suppose that a passenger or a driver reaches a crossroad, and he is bewildered or he is wondering where in which ride or route he has to choose. Some of the people would give him the address that he has to take the left side. Some others would recommend him that he has to choose the left direction. And some might tell him that he should go straight. And some might suggest him that he has to go back in reverse. Of course, this passenger or this tourist or this driver will be bewildered, will be perplexed which of the roads he has to choose, either right, left, forward, backward, which direction he has to take. Here, our rational or our demonstrative reasoning does not let us that we have to go and take reckless actions. I mean, without any meditation, without any asking questions about the real address, our rational does not let us that we have to take either the left or the right, for it would lead us astray. It would lead us in nowhere. We have to take the right course, the right direction, so that we have to reach our destination. Otherwise, we will be perplexed. Otherwise, we will miss our time, energy, and of course, confusion will be brought out. So here, the question of religion resembles this, that human beings in this world are in the crossroad for choosing a better direction that should reach their destination in fastest possible way, in safest possible way. They have to take the right direction. So in such circumstance, indeed he is in need of a very honest, loyal, and truthful guide. That the real address must be told to him, must be given to him. Otherwise, he will miss and he will lose all what he has. So this example makes us understand that how important is the road and the way we choose for our life. Particularly if we pay attention that sometimes these roads and ways would lead us to somehow materialistic and worldly felicity and happiness. So think how important it could be that when the questions are related to our eternal happiness or misery, our eternal felicity or chastisement, so the question gets more important, the question gets hugely or excessively, extremely significant. That we should never ever be nonchalant towards our important questions that pose against us in this world, that which direction we have to go, and the true religion must be chosen. Another important point that should be added is we come in this world once and for all. Our life can never ever be reserved, so that we should say that once again I will come and I will find the true path and then I will live. No, it happens once and for all. You do not have time to say that, okay, in the next life and the next return, I will live a dignified life. After that, I will find the truth. No, there is no time, there is no space for you left that you have to say that, of course, I will find the true path in the next coming. No, it happens once and for all. So it deserves that we have to invest for finding the true religion. It deserves that we have to go and search and inquire or investigate about the real religion and about the real denomination of the religion. For every religion is inclusive of a huge or array of denominations. That matters most for us, that we have to find a true religion. And secondly, in finding the true religion, we will be able to satisfy our pleasures in this world and the life hereafter. We will be able to secure all our interests and ensure ourselves against all harms and damage. Have we found the true religion? Have we found the true Islamic law or school of thought? Otherwise, we will be the losing people. As the Holy Quran says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. By the dawn, all the human beings are in loss, except those who have faith, those who do good deeds, and those who encourage or enjoin the truth and keep patience. Of course, enjoining and recommending the truth is that much important that we have to invest all our life searching for the truth. So that deserves. Otherwise, we will be in complete and utter loss, as stated by the Holy Quran. So it matters most that we have to find the truth, we have to invest for the truth, we have to be heedful of the truth. The second important point, or the second argument that we can make, that we have to search for the truth, for the true religion, is this: that human beings are intrinsically desiring or wanting to go to find the truth. It makes no difference. It is an intrinsic drive. So you might call it sense of curiosity. While the psychologists recently have said that, of course, we have a sense of religiosity. It means the human beings intrinsically go towards religion and towards religious values and norms and does and don'ts. So it makes no difference. Whatever you call, but the human beings are having this potential within themselves that they should go for the truth and they should search for the truth. Every human, every man intrinsically loves and appreciates that he has to go either personally or others for the search of the truth. So the human beings can never ever overlook this intrinsic disposition or this innate nature that they have. So intrinsically they are searching for the truth. You know that historically talking, we face with these questions that there have been huge amount of prophets in the history. And there had been a lot of messages from divinity. Should we remain indifferent towards all these prophets, towards the invitations all these apostles and messengers of Almighty Allah have made, or not? We should be alert. At the end of the day, if they come true, of course, the eternal chastisement will be a very, very catastrophic aftermath for all of us. It matters most that we should not be nonchalant towards these messengers and messages. So, the second argument we make, and we have made right now, is that the human beings are intrinsically equipped with this disposition and with this nature that they have to search for the truth. And of course, Islam, being the final divinely revealed religion, is true religion, and we all have this obligation and duty to go and search for the true religion, and along with that, a true denomination of this Islamic school of thought.
إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء لعلكم تذكرون.
To further elaborate on these fundamental questions, we believe that the questions that have been posed and is still posed against the human being, not only in the case of the prophets and messengers and their messages, they have also some other fundamental questions that they face with. For example, where we have come from, what far we have come in this world, and where would we go after our demise? These are three fundamental questions every rational agent faces with. So everyone, every individual has to respond and has to provide logical, rational, and convincing answers and responses for all these three questions. Where he has come from. It is something clear that we have not been in this world prior centuries. We have come. Where we have come from. And secondly, what we have come for in this world. Should we come in this world and suffer for at least, for example, maximum 90 years or minimum some 2 years, and then we have to leave aside, or we have to be ruined? And then finally, where will we go? That is the important question. For example, if you have the fullest possible pleasure in this world, or you have access to all pleasures in this world, but again, if in the back of your mind there is a question that once upon a time I will be asked about all these pleasures, of course you will not be able to have the best test of these pleasures. Why? Because this question that once upon a time, or once you will be asked about all these pleasures, then you will not have a very good feeling. Religion is the only source, and is the source alone that can provide valid answers for all these three questions. Not only these three questions, but also other sub-questions that emerge from these three main questions. So we believe religion is the only source that can provide answers for these questions. No human-made schools of thought can provide answer for these three questions. No human-made school of thought can have this access, or can say that, okay, after your demise, what will happen? Even if they say something, none of them are authoritative. None of them can be valid, can be deemed as something reliable. According to us, the third argument that we can make about this, that we have to search and we have to go and inquire into religion, we have to find the true religion, is this, that there are many functions for the religion. No other element, no other parallel can make these functions. One of the best and one of the most striking, important functions religion has, that is commitment and responsiveness. Religion makes every follower, every devout follower, committed. You know that every society, to have a good circumstance, that is in need of order, that is in need of regulations. A religion in general, and Islam in particular, makes every human committed. For example, as it was said that when the society needs order and regulation, to guarantee that all these articles, all these regulations are fulfilled, they put an authority, an organization by the name of police. The police are responsible to keep order in the society. So religion replaced external police to internal police. Religious commandments and orders make the faithful people committed always whispering in their ears, giving warnings in their hearts that they should be heedful of all those religious commandments. For Almighty Allah is all aware, not only of our deeds, not only of our practical steps we take, but also of our intentions. So the cameras, for example, sometimes, mostly the people do not do mischievous actions, or they do not misbehave when the cameras are on. Why? Because they are afraid that if this was shown in the YouTube or in other sources, of course they will be disgraced or they will win shame. But a committed and a faithful people or individual is always in search of fulfilling and satisfying their Lord's pleasure, and says that I should always satisfy Allah's pleasure. So, in this case, he says that Almighty Allah's camera is the very, very expansive and pervasive camera, and he does not let any episode or any event unrecorded. No. Not only the two angels, they record our deeds, but also Almighty Allah is there. So Almighty Allah records everyone's deeds, everyone's reactions, actions, everyone's words, thoughts, intentions. So in front of such a camera that sees everything, even the intentions, even those unspoken words, of course, we will always remain heedful and committed.
لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون والله الخالق البارئ المصور.
For a materialist, it makes difference that the camera is on or not, or the camera is on or off, or the police is present or not. He is always ready to violate the values, the norms, the regulations, the deeds, the do's and don'ts. But for a religious-minded people, of course, he is very much careful. Theoretically talking, though sometimes there might be some practical violation from the religious-minded people, I do not deny this, that he who becomes religious-minded for always he will be innocent. No. Of course, there are some places, there are some lapses that he commits during his lifetime. But theoretically talking, he is more heedful of Almighty Allah's pleasure, Almighty Allah's do's and don'ts, and Almighty Allah's imperatives. So this makes that religion should have its functions. So one of the functions religion has, that is to bring about and to prompt commitment, to witness commitment. We will be committed to those values, norms, and commandments. So respectable audience, once again, there's another argument that we can make about the need and the necessity that we have to go for true religion, that is that it develops our rationality. The divine messengers have always campaigned against superstitious beliefs. They've always had this fighting against their citizens, against those landlords or warlords. For they were always exploiting the people by spread of superstitious beliefs. But when the prophets, when the divine messengers came and were sent on the earth, one of their duties were to fight against superstitious belief, to untie and, of course, untie all these knots they have fastened around their neck, around their hands and feet. So it is important that when the divine messengers come, rationality grows up and rationality develops. Almighty Allah has repeatedly recommended all the human beings that they have to pay attention to their rationality. For example, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? Almighty Allah interrogates. Almighty Allah asks questions that do not you ponder? You have to ponder. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا? Do not they meditate and contemplate on the Holy Quran, or their hearts are locked? So it means that we have to meditate. As religious-minded people, we should meditate, we should think, we should ponder upon everything, making no difference that is related to our worldly life or in the next. So it is important. Another function of the religion is that it develops rationality, it develops thinking, it develops thoughtfulness. So these are the arguments we made today, that it is required that we have to go and search for true religion. An investment or investing on finding the truth in the true religion is not something trivial and futile. It is very, very important that we have to go and search for the true religion. Otherwise, we will be in complete loss. We will be faced with a disastrous and catastrophic aftermath. To flee or to ensure ourselves against all those harms and detrimental future, we have to go and search true religion. To summarize what I have said in this session, let me give you some 5 or 6 sentences. The first important point was that inquiring into religion was the theme of the lesson. And we pose the questions, is it necessary that we have to go and search for the true religion or not? Or it is a time consuming and it is in the meantime futile. We brought some 3 or 4 arguments that searching for true religion is not futile. It is necessary, it is essential, it is a matter of life and death. He who is nonchalant towards finding the true religion, he is like a child who avoids taking pills or taking medicines, for it is bitter taste. And of course, the aftermath is clear. He will die. And he who remains nonchalant towards finding the true religion, he also faces fatal death or lethal effects. That's it. Secondly, we brought this argument that religion prepares and provides logical and rational responses for those basic questions of every human, and that is where we have come from, what far we have come in this world, and finally or eventually where will we go. We have said that no other school of thought, no other human-made school of thought can provide us answers for these 3 questions. So it matters most that religion provides answers for these questions. So for having these answers, we have to go and find true religion. And another argument we made for the necessity of finding true religion was our own inherent nature, our own intrinsic disposition. That every man is intrinsically trying to find the true religion. Sometimes there might be no materialistic gain for him, but he goes and searches for true religion and then embraces it. Of course, the joy he feels when he found the truth, that is not comparable with any other materialistic gains. The final argument we made, that again we have to go for search of the true religion, that was the functions of the religion. There are many functions that today we touched one of them, and that was the development of rationality and thoughtfulness and meditation and fighting against those superstitious beliefs. May God bless you all, dear listeners and viewers. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم انفعنا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وجملنا بالعافية وكرمنا بالتقوى. إن وليي الله الذي نزل الكتاب وهو يتولى الصالحين.